and everyone joining us in person and via live stream. Thank you for being here. Cynthia Lunt will say the pledge. Lead us in.
Oh, it should be over there. Can I move it real quick?
Yes, because that's where it should be.
Right side?
Right side.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay. I'll just. Turn. There we go.
Together at 1, 2, 3.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All of their board members are in attendance with the exception of Ms. Oliver, who is excused. There are a few addendum materials on the following topics: awards and recognitions, communications and community relations report, bid award, and written comment. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addenda.
I hereby
there-
move that the board approve the agenda with the addendum.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve the following minutes as presented. Board work session, March 5th, regular board meeting, March 12th, executive session for student discipline, March 13th. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes authorizing the payment of claims, approving the supplemental financial information, and approving the human resource activity as presented, and also approving camp requests as presented. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I make a,
Hereby move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion passed. Next on the agenda are the self-explanatory reports, which include Idaho General Fund Revenue Report, Student Enrollment Report, Kindergarten Counts, and Student Suspension Report. Next on the agenda is awards and recognitions, which will be presented by Sue Pettit.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Dr. Howell, trustees, and all our student representatives. Tonight we'll be recognizing several individuals who, through their actions, support and embody the district's mission to think more, learn more, and be more together. First, we have our Cake Awards. Pocatello School District believes a safe, supportive, caring, and respectful environment is critical to student learning, and the School District Education Foundation, in partnership with McDonald's, supports the Learner of the Month Award to recognize one elementary learner and one secondary learner from our district from October through May. The Cake Award celebrates positive character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement towards others. Nominations for the Cake Awards are submitted by a teacher who observes the nominee's behavior and then are approved by the school's principals. Cake Awards recipients receive recognition at the monthly Board of Trustees regular meeting, a gift card for the recipient and their teacher, and a $50 donation to purchase books for the library in the recipient's name, both courtesy of the Johnson's Family McDonald's. So today's elementary school learner of the month is Aspen Dooling. And is Aspen and her teacher here? Nominated by Paige Warfield. In her nomination letter, Miss Warfield wrote, "The world is cruel, and therefore I won't be."
Pettit, will you wait just a minute?
Yep.
Come on.
Come on up. Let's over here. I think of this quote when I think of Aspen. Despite facing her own challenges, Aspen consistently demonstrates empathy and compassion towards her peers. She has put a lot of effort to help herself and others grow in this school year. These are the kinds of qualities we seek in our student leaders at Chubbuck Elementary. A recent instance that comes to mind is Aspen's action at Lunch Academy, where students stay in during lunch recess to complete unfinished tasks. Though school can be hard for Aspen, she decided to give up her free time to assist a fellow learner. This was not easy, and as the learner she was assisting can be challenging to work with. Over the period of 45 minutes, Aspen exhibited admirable patience and encouragement as she guided this learner through multiple assignments. The interaction between the two of them was touching, and I could see how much it meant to the other learner when Aspen was so kind and supportive. When I commented on the interaction, Aspen's face lit up and she told me, "I just really like helping other people." I hope she maintains this attitude throughout her life. Navigating through school can be challenging, and life can present unforeseen obstacles. However, kindness costs nothing and means everything. Our school is lucky to have a compassionate learner like Aspen. Congratulations. So, okay, and I think I have these two. I don't know which one goes to which.
Okay, so
I'm missing one. This one goes to them. Yep. Okay, and then if you will go through and shake hands with our board so they can congratulate you also.
So I think we have a card for you too. We're a little out of sorts tonight, so
I only have
we're gonna
one.
get that to you. Okay, and then
I only have one
Ket
there's
will
two in there?
likely be outside. We'll get that.
because that one's for
Oh, maybe
that person. Okay, our secondary school learner of the month is Briggs Budge from Alameda Middle School, nominated by Mindy Bang. In her nomination letter, Ms. Bang wrote, "Bridge Budge is a very kind and caring person. He always has a smile on his face and is willing to help everyone around him. He works hard in class, and he encourages others to do the same. This trimester in our career exploration class, he sits by another student who transferred to Alameda during second trimester. This student is an English language learner and speaks very little English. Briggs has made friends with him through his kindness, his smile, and some creative translating. He regularly takes time to help the other student understand the assignment and then helps him finish it. Briggs has done all this without any asking from me, and he has taken the initiative to help other students feel welcome and part of their table. I appreciate Briggs' thoughtfulness and great attitude. He's a teaching joy." Okay, there's that. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to work on this one. This is our PIE Award, and it's the Employee of the Month PIE's Award recognition. Thank you. I don't know how, that needs to go to him. Him.
Briggs?
Oh, the teacher? Okay. Okay, sorry. The Employee of the Month PIE's Award recognizes our employees who positively influence educational success. The award is for employees who go above and beyond in that effort, and the PIE Awards recipient receives a $50 gift card from Lookout Credit Union, our educational partner for this award. So, Ife Tabakasi, I hope I even came close. Nominated by Callie Lopez. So if Callie's here, come on up. Ife is the counselor at Gate City Elementary School, and he was nominated for the PIE's Employee of the Month Award by Callie Lopez. Ms. Lopez submitted nominations on 2 separate occasions. This is the first time she's nominated you. In her first nomination, she wrote, "Ife is always positive and happy. He supports our students every day by tending to their mental health needs. He also helps our staff with our mental health needs. We all know that Mr. Ife's office, and that's what they call you as Mr. Ife. Yes. Mr. Ife's office is a safe place with no judgment. Students know that they are always welcome to come and visit him. He is so uplifting and inspiring and supportive. He really deserves this award. In her second nomination, she wrote, I was having a problem with a student and asked Ife if he had any creative ideas to help me. He made time in the morning before students came to check in with me, and he offered me many ideas and support to approach the situation with a student. Mr. Ife came to talk to my class at a separate time and was able to incorporate a lesson chat about how to talk to my class about this exact issue I was having in the class without making anyone feel bad. He did it flawlessly, and I'm so thankful and grateful that he was able to do that. Thank you for your contributions to our learners and our school district. Congratulations. Okay. That goes to you, and that goes to you. And if you'll go through and shake everybody's hands.
Thank you, Ms. Eagle. The two numbers.
School District 25 Education Foundation Scholarship Selection Committee is pleased to announce the recipients of the 6th Annual Terry Perkins Educational Scholarship. From Century High School, and if you'll join me up here when I call your name, Erica Harnsberger and Cabry Osborne. From Highland High School, Chris Arvis and Zoe McEwen. From Pocatello High School, Evie Bidwell and Haley Ronzalo. This $3,000 renewable scholarship was created in 2018 to help fund recipients' post-high school education at an accredited 2-year, 4-year vocational school. Recipients are eligible to renew the scholarship for an additional year if requirements are met, making a total potential value of the scholarship $6,000 per person. Recipients may defer the scholarship for up to 2 years. In 2018, the School District 25 Education Foundation received a nearly $1.5 million gift from Glenn Perkins Family Living Trust. A significant portion of this investment income earned through the endowment is dedicated to supporting the Pocatello-Chubbuck School District debate and music program at Century, Highland, and Pokey High Schools. Additional earnings are allocated annually towards the establishment of the Terry Perkins Educational Scholarship. The Terry Perkins Educational Scholarship Fund 2 $3,000 renewable scholarships for eligible learners attending our comprehensive high schools. In 2022, another scholarship was added to benefit the eligible learner attending New Horizons High School. Congratulations. Oh, that was Jackson Carter. That's going to be that's the New Horizon one. Right. Jackson Carter, are you here? Okay. That one wasn't on my list. Congratulations, all of you, and if you will please shake the hands of the board and then go outside, and they're going to take a picture of you outside as a group.
Well done.
Great job. Congratulations.
Nice work. I've seen you before. Yeah? Congratulations.
We'll give them just a second.
Tell them they can move up if they want.
Our final recognition tonight goes to Pocatello High School Student Council, recognized as the 2024 National Gold Council of Excellence. The National Association of Student Councils recognizes the Pocatello High School Student Council as a 2024 National Gold Council of Excellence. Winning the National Gold Council of Excellence Award is a testament to the highest standard of quality, leadership, innovation, and community engagement that your council consistently demonstrates in its operation and its projects and activities. In the notification letter, the organization cited how the NASC's National Gold Council of Excellence are a model of quality for which other student councils nationwide should strive to become. So at this time, could their student government advisor, Kelly Mon, join us up here? And then members, if you're here, if you'll come up, Emma Adams, Aja Barris, Trinity Barris, Evie Bidwell, Isabel Boswell, Bailey Bowers, Marin Brock, Aiden Bryden, Lyric Chavez Leach, Robert Contour, Peyton Curzon, Claire Ernest, Macy Ellett, Kaylin Ellsworth, Taylor Foster, Louis German, Carson Jex, Owen Larson, Ava Rose Lee, Andrew McIntosh, Sarai Alvera, Daniel Packer, Logan Peck, Ava Pruitt, Hayden Roan, Neela Roan, Peyton Roan, Lexus Robinson, Jada Schultz, James Stone, Jackson Taylor, Willow White, and Katya Yanez. And I can tell you, I know that these folks do a lot of work in our community, and for community things that I'm involved in, I've seen them around a lot. So congratulations to all of you. And again, if you will walk through, shake hands, and then you're going to meet Cammie outside for a picture.
A lot of them are gone because we have 3 sports teams.
I was going to say,
Right?
we have a bunch of things going on.
Excellent. Wonderful. Gold standard. Wonderful. Good to see you.
I know, you were good.
Congratulations. Well done.
So great.
Thanks for everything that you do
all your work.
until high school. Thanks. Thank you. Excellent. Wonderful.
Next on the agenda is public and written comment. Written comment was received and is included. I have one request for a public comment from Mary Ann McGrory, also from Aaron Moore. We'll begin with Mary Ann. You have 3 minutes to address the board.
Good morning, board, or not good morning. Good evening, board. As you know, I'm Mary Ann McGrory, president of the Pocatello Education Association. One of the benefits of membership in the PEA is access to the Idaho Education Association's Children's Fund. Each school year, PEA members have access to $1,000 to use to provide clothing, food, glasses, medicine, and other needed essentials to the students of SD25. The largest fundraiser for the Children's Fund is a silent auction that is held at Delegate Assembly. This past weekend, members from Pocatello, Irving, Wilcox, Jefferson, Chubbuck, Idaho, Indian Hills, and Tendoy donated items to the auction. Between those donations and the items that the PEA members who were at Delegate Assembly bought at the silent auction, we ended up raising over almost $600 for the fund. In addition, the staff and students, of Irving Middle School raised over $1,000 in honor and memory of Terry Thompson. Terry was a special education teacher at Irving Middle School. She was dedicated, loud, determined, and passionate. Sorry, I can't read my writing. I am proud to say she was my colleague, my friend, and my child's teacher. Terry lost her bravely fought battle against cancer last summer. She is dearly missed. Through this donation, her legacy will live on. So I wanted to share some good news from the PEA for once.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron?
So So I just wanted to come and thank the board. So I've been asked to sit on the Highland Rebuild Committee. And I just wanted to thank the board for putting it together. I think, we've had a good experience of being able to see what other schools in the region have and what we're trying to do with Highland. Going forward, I guess I just want to make sure, everybody knows that the board is the ones that are responsible, right? You guys are the ones that are responsible. You can make the decisions. You get to do all the heavy lifting of making sure we stay within budget and everything else, because if we hit the lottery, then we can have a different discussion. But for the most part, you guys are. But I appreciate you inviting the community. I'm a community member on the board, on that advisory committee. But then we also have parents and teachers and staff from Highland that are also on, and from the school district on it, that are helping representing. Hopefully what we can do is put a good plan together and rebuild Highland to what it needs to be, a functioning school for the educators and the students. So I just want to, I guess, get on the docket just to thank you guys for thinking ahead and being forward thinking. I know we try to, in this community, are trying to do better at transparency and trying to be open and make sure everybody's on the same page, and I think that's a good step. So appreciate you guys. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron. Next, we will move on to reports, which will begin with the student representative reports. We will begin with the representative from Century High School. We will talk more about the Highland rebuild later. So, thank you. We will go back.
Okay, hi, my name is Suri Delamy, and I'm Century's student body co-president.
And I'm Olive Ashcraft, and I'm Century's activities director for the student body.
To start off the month of April, our juniors completed the ISATs and SATs, and our teachers threw our juniors the after-test barbecue where they made them lunch. And AP testing starts in May, which we're super excited for.
Our freshman class recently won the No Tardy Party for having a perfect attendance of 24 students.
And Marshall Public Library donated over 1,000 books so that each student could take home and receive a free book.
We have a Fentanyl Awareness Week right around the corner, and tomorrow we plan on having a guest speaker for our student council class, Morgan Anderson and Maggie Mann from the Southeastern Idaho Public Health Committee, as well as Chief Shai coming from the Chief of Police to talk about fentanyl and its effects on mental health.
Century Drama's performance of SpongeBob broke box office records and had the most attendance out of all of its productions ever.
Recently, 2 of our drama students just got called back from the Jimmy Awards in New York City, as well as our choir going on to tour in New York as well.
Our spring sports are in full swing, and we're throwing a state sweatshirt day where each student who has received a state sweatshirt is invited to wear it to school and attend a pizza party to celebrate their achievement.
On top of that, we're also throwing a Military Children's Awareness Day. This is where each student on Friday will be invited to wear purple to represent and support other students who have parents in the military.
That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, could we have a representative from Pocatello High School?
Hi, I'm Taylor Foster. I'm junior class president at Pocatello High School. Speech took 3rd place at state. Eli Buchanan is state champion in impromptu speaking. Our Guns and Hoses fundraiser raised $2,000 for Make-A-Wish. Next week is Spirit Week at Pokey. Monday is Pokey's Got Talent. Wednesday is our annual day of service, where we will be going to 30 different locations throughout Pocatello and Chubbuck and doing service, followed by an all-school lunch and barbecue. Saturday is our prom. ISU signing day was a success with 130-plus students recognized. Our student government was recognized by the National Student Council Association and received the highest award awarded by this organization, the 2024 National Gold Council of Excellence. Friday will be a National Guard job fair that many PHS students will attend. CCA's had an amazing job fair last week, and our student body president nominations were today.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a representative from Highland? They couldn't make it. Oh, they couldn't make it. Okay. We'll move on to the next. Are we going to have the community report, community relations report?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
So in your packet, you'll notice that our monthly communication insight, we had just over 12,000 followers on Facebook. Facebook continues to be our most effective social media tool to reach our audiences. Live streamed last month, we had 143 views of the board meeting and 96 of our April work session. Top performing posts in the last 28 days was, the top was the parent and community representative selections for Highland High School Rebuild and Design Committee. And then the second was restoring our community's cherished high schools without a bond. The 2024 Idaho Gives campaign is scheduled for April 29th through May 2nd. We invite you to join the school district's Education Foundation's annual Idaho Gives campaign to celebrate our appreciation for our local public education and support innovations in our classrooms. You have more information about that story in your packet. And then other days that we need to, we're going to mention, Administrative Assistance Day is next Wednesday, April 24th. And then Educators Appreciation Week is May 6th through the 10th. It's a little bit of heads up on that one. Headlines of interest, we had several from around the district, lots of pictures and photos of the high school productions of Music Man and Legally Blonde. The local fourth grader enriched the Idaho State Civic Symphony performances. The fourth graders were enriched by the Idaho State Civic Symphony's performances. And then the Pocatello-Chubbuck School District won't ask voters to support a Highland High School bond following the passage of state legislation. There was a whole series on the Highland Fire series from different perspectives. Around the state, there were a few headlines about superintendents hiring and NAMPA trustees voting for a 4-day school week. Around the Capitol, there was several articles about that, and then around our community, lots of community highlights on that one also. So,
Thank you, Sue.
you're welcome.
Now, it is now time for the presentation of proposed budget adjustments for 23-24 and proposed fee increases for the 24-25 school year, which will be presented by Jonathan Balls.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for your time. I thought I'd, for this section, start up here. So again, this is the beginning of our budget hearing, where we have, we're proposing some amended budgets. This is what we do every year as we know better about our enrollment, we know better about our state and federal and other local funding. And so that's what we're presenting again today. Remember, these are the same documents that we reviewed last week. And so the first document, again, is our notice that was published in the paper April 6th in the Idaho State Journal that showed a summary statement of the general fund in those first two columns, and then basically all other funds combined in those right two columns. Again, identified in different revenue categories, and as well as expenditure categories, salaries, benefits, purchase services, supplies, and so forth. So you can kind of see how that ebbs and flows there as well. The next documents kind of dive a little bit. We start at a broad level with a summary statement, and then we're diving deeper into the next page that I have, that is a yellow heading there, shows the list of all of our funds, what the original budget was, and then what the adjustment was to that. Several of these are either federal funds that, again, the original budget was set last June, and so federal funds, we don't get our final allocations until well into the fall, October sometimes, and so of course we just make those minor adjustments is there as well as some of the Hunter Fund and the 420 Fund, which are two of the largest. They get adjusted for beginning balances because we've gone through our audit of course, in the fall, and so we know what those exact balances are that we began with on July 1st. Second page that has the beige, again, dives even more into these various funds. I'll highlight, again, one of the largest ones on the other funds is grants. As we receive grants through the fall and through the winter months, obviously we adjust the budget accordingly. And the biggest one is that ICRS, or it's the CTE grant that's helping fund our remodel at PV Tech. And so And if you haven't looked, we've got steel beams going up over there. That's kind of exciting. I'm watching the cameras as we go there. So that's just some of these other budget adjustments, 2 pages of those, that just is kind of adjusting each fund to the actual amounts there. Final page that has the green heading there, again, is more dives into our general fund, looking at the salaries, the benefits, the services. Again, because of slightly decreased revenue, we tightened up, and because we always balance that budget, lower salaries. That doesn't mean that it is just because we were able to do this because we budgeted conservatively, in June, which is one of our budgeting principles there, and so we could just tighten that up to more actual what we will expend throughout this year. Same with the salaries and benefits and so forth. Again, the largest amount, the end amount that gets adjusted is our appropriated fund balance. As you can see there, it will sit about $6.4 million at the end of is what we anticipate of what that budget will be.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will now recess this meeting and convene a public.
Sorry, I paused and I shouldn't have paused. So that's the budget adjustment. Now to kind of look, again, we'll be talking budgets in May and June as well. Again, part of this special meeting will be some fee increases for next year that we will implement into our proposed 24-25 school year budget. This again was put in the paper twice per Idaho code. The first section again is school lunch, where we're proposing a 10-cent increase to elementary and secondary, as well as breakfast. And these are for a full paid there. And then we increased adult lunch and adult breakfast as well by 30 cents and 15 cents respectively there for just our adults. Again, some miscellaneous fees that we've looked in there. When one of our parents or patrons would like to use a credit card, we need to charge a little bit extra to cover our costs there, and so that's going up a half of a percentage point there, from 4 to 4.5. And then also middle school activity card. Again, this is what was published in the paper, that currently it's at $15, and the administration, the middle schools are proposing $25. Again, we put the parking lot, but this is, again, if vendors want to rent part of our parking lot to help sell anything to the patrons that are inside our school, whether it be a Saturday or in the evening. We thought $30 an hour to charge that, again, just for those for-profit entities there. And then the last two, just as we have rentals at our turf fields, these large video scoreboards, we needed a rental fee for those, and then a fee there that the renters would pay for a technician, or basically the individual to run the scoreboard. And so those are before you to discuss as you were going, Madam Chair, and you're into your special meeting.
I will now recess this meeting and convene a public hearing to solicit input on the proposed budget adjustments and fee increases. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the proposed budget or fee increases? Did you want to say about
I was going to say,
this?
is that including me, or is it
Yes.
just public?
Anyway,
This one's public, and then
It's a
when we
public
get to
hearing,
the
so
board discussion.
yes, you too.
Yeah,
Well, until the board discussion, I think.
yeah.
Because the next step is to close it. Okay, I will now close it. I was thinking that was the time for us to discuss. We'll
No,
do
I
that.
think ours is
We'll do that after. Okay, I will now close the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting. I would entertain a motion to adopt the proposed budget adjustment for the 2023-2024 school year. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board adopt the 2023-2024 budget adjustment as presented.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any discussion?
I have a lot of discussion.
Okay.
So I understand that the lunches they have to be raised.
But that's not the fee thing yet.
We're on the budget.
Oh, we're on the budget. Okay, wrong conversation. I'm jumping the gun. Okay. No
That's very
discussion.
next. That's very next. I do have a question. We had set aside a bit of reserve, which we don't have a number exactly. We just kind of had an estimated number for Highland in case there was any overages. And I just wanted to be sure with this proposed budget adjustment, that was still intact.
Correct, yes, that is still intact.
That's my only question.
But the belief is that the additional funding that is coming from the state board should cover some of this, correct?
Right, but that's not the one I'm talking about.
Correct, yeah, so what you're talking about, Ms. Clark, is that, again, that would go into our general fund, but what Madam Chair is mentioning is kind of in our 420 fund there. And so, yes, that'd be there as well.
Will you share
Thank
what
you.
420 is?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Fund 420 is our capital improvement plan, or it's our plant facilities, that's where all of our maintenance goes, but that's also our big projects, which I'll cover later in the meeting. We have a lot of
For
big.
example, the renovation on Pocatello High School.
Correct,
different
renovation, yep.
major
Asphalt,
projects.
team rooms, yep.
Yes.
Additions, some major plumbing that we
So
have to
that's
do.
where all of those come.
Correct,
back.
plant facility or capital improvement, that's all 420. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. I would entertain a motion to adopt the proposed fee increases for the 2024-2025 school year. Is there a motion? I move that we adopt the proposed. No one wants to,
Okay, I'll hereby move that the board adopt the 2024-2025 fee increase as presented.
all in favor?
I second the
No,
motion.
No, we gotta have a discussion. You gotta have a
Now we
second.
need the discussion.
I'm sorry, yeah, okay. Go ahead, Heather.
This doesn't happen often, right? No, I guess if you could just clarify the reasoning behind the raising and the lunches, because I do, you know, I mean, this one feels like a, but you're saying that
It's
we don't
hard.
have a
It's
choice.
hard
This
for
one is a hard
parents,
one
'cause
for
this
me.
is-
This one is a hard one. Again, it's not the USDA provides a tool for us, and it's all based on averages. How many free and reduced lunches we serve versus how much paid lunches we that we serve. And so they take that number and this big tool spits out, okay, your average price should be this amount. And it's basically based on the simple premise that the free and reduced kids can't offset or can't support the full paying kids, because we get a lot, obviously, because of free and reduced, we do get a lot of reimbursement for those meals served. And so a couple things come in play. So there's the amount, and I believe it was 28 cents that we were supposed to raise it. But again, there's a rule that that the benefits, our families, that 10 cents is what is what was recommended there. Now we could go more, but that's our that's what they kind of recommend. Again, the balance between covering our costs and also a minimal impact to our families.
I understood.
And, I'm sorry. are you
Go ahead.
finished with
Yeah.
The only request that we had also was, could we raise the activity card fee from 15 to 20 instead of from 15 to 25?
Okay, and the board can talk about that. If you'd like, we do have a
Sure.
comment, or just as Ms. Wilkes was.
As part of your comment, can you also explain participation fee, activity fee, which is required, which is mandatory, which is?
Yeah, sorry I wasn't
And
here.
kids that can't afford that participation.
So I'm just going to talk about all of it. So being a middle school principal prior to this position. So basically what we do is we sell activity cards. It's the only fee that we have at the middle school level. There's no other fees that we have to that unless they want to buy a yearbook. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And we try to be equitable. We try not to minimize students' opportunities. So we have chosen not to charge or make them show activity cards at the events and as well as parents, because we want to be equitable and get as much support for those sporting events as possible for our kids. And so with that activity fee, and we haven't increased it prior to me even being there in 2008, it's always been $15. But what has increased dramatically is officials, has raised dramatically with wrestling, which we have no control over. They tell us what that cost is, and currently that cost is $54 per event, and we need 2 of them. So that's $108 just to have officials at the wrestling. And then volleyball, same thing, officials, scorekeepers, line judges. So per event, it gets quite costly. But again, $25 isn't a big astronomical amount to pay for, to come to any of the events, but it just doesn't pay for sports. So what it does pay for is any activities at the middle school level. So we have competitions, assemblies where we have class grade level competitions. We have dances. Yes, those are entertaining if you ever want to go to one of those, and pay for the DJ and food and so forth. Those have increased as well. But we have never, raised that cost. We probably should have. We reverted not to we were going to prior to COVID, and then we just haven't because we didn't want to press that impact on our families. So equitable and having everybody there is our priority. So giving those opportunities to purchase an activity card to support programs and so forth at the middle school level. Participation fee is to actually participate in the school programs. So like volleyball, wrestling, track, and so forth, it's $40. And so that actually goes to the busing and coaching and part of those fees that incur there. Does that make sense?
Someone who participates also has to pay. So you're telling me that the activity fee, regardless of whether you darken the door, you still pay that? Meaning if you never go to an event, you still have to have an activity card?
Correct, but again, it's not just sports events that they get.
Right,
Okay,
if you don't go to dance, if you do nothing.
they're part of the school day.
No,
Yeah,
I understand that, but.
yeah.
but-
Which is, it's not forced upon them to buy an activity card.
Oh, it isn't.
It is not. It is optional. It is
Okay.
100% completely optional. And you do have some disparities with schools, because there's that some and can and can't. But it's completely optional. We advertise it as just supporting the school and the events that are happening there. We never make any money off of these activity cards. They truly do support the events.
Where I struggle is, especially if you've got someone in middle school and high school, it was not uncommon to write
Mm-hmm.
$600 to $800 to even $1,000 check
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of a
I did
school year.
$1,000
Yeah.
one year.
I
and
mean,
that wasn't
it's-
all the events.
Yes.
I
So-
only paid for the first one.
I guess I'm wondering why, so you're saying we don't charge for middle school events to attend?
We really want to promote at the middle school level, keeping those kids active and involved in their programs. And if we start charging, you will not have that support, or
From
we're eliminating opportunities for kids that our whole goal at the middle school is getting kids to participate and be involved
I love that.
in field day and so forth. And so to do that, we compromise with the optional to purchase, and we just promote it, to purchase those activity cards, and that's where all that funding comes from.
I do love the idea of not charging for them to get into the
And
event.
so we could
I love
charge
that.
it and not charge as much for the
But you
activity
not
cards.
charge parents or family
No,
or?
we want that support. We want them to bring their whole families. It truly is just trying to get as many people involved, and it gets competitive, and you're right, it gets more costly at the high school, so we have to spread that, right?
Right.
But at the middle school, we just want that involvement with the families and the community as much as possible, so anybody can come to those events for free, for cheerleading and anything.
I have heard of parents having their child have to pick one sport because of the participation.
We have sponsorships, though.
But that's what I wondered, is
Yes.
that really,
Yes.
advertised that everybody can participate?
Yes.
If you don't have money, or it can just be.
I've
treated as
had
scholarship.
opportunities to have conversations. It's a conversation. I've had opportunities to put them on like a payment plan or half a fee, or we do some other things. We don't limit, we don't take the ability to have those kids involved in any way, shape, or form. And it's very a private conversation. So you're right,
And
we
then they're
don't,
kind of awarded as more like a scholarship and not just here will donate to because you don't have the money. I mean, you know,
That's why we have a conversation. So when I was the athletic director, the parents would approach me and tell me what's going on, and I would tell them how I could support them. And we were all about being a partnership in that. We do not want to limit them participating. It was so important. We started an Idaho Youth organization, and Terrence Sorrell is overseeing that, where the tennis shoes, sports, equipment, all of that could be sponsored by them as well, and that's their whole commitment. And I think 2 Saturdays ago, they raised over $30,000 for that. Does that make sense? So we have avenues to get them the support they need.
So you say that we don't we're not even breaking even with these fees. Where does the other funding come from? Where in the budget does this?
So each school gets a limited amount of
Every
funding for
school.
each,
you know how they get it from.
and so then they break it out to, English department and so forth.
So they're the ones
so-
hiring the coaches, or the referees and the line.
Who's they?
The schools.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
So if I'm putting on a sporting event for basketball, I call the director of officials, it's Gary Carlson, and he tells me what the cost is,
Right.
right? And they tell me, and we typically have to have those at certain times because their priority is high school. But they tell me the costs, and so yes, so these activity card fees help pay for these events to happen.
And
Wrestling and volleyball and all of those.
you're talking from the perspective of the principal. The principal calls, gets the price, and the
The
principal
athletic
pays.
director, yes.
So then my question is, if the activity fees do not cover what the cost is, where does that other funding come from?
They cover pretty close. I mean, and because of ESSER funds and Jonathan Give Back participation in the last couple of years, they've been doing okay. But we have to end that because ESSER funds are ending.
Sure.
Does that make sense? So now we're starting to feel the impact. And I know, like, I just got done with a Idaho Athletic Association AD meeting in Boise, and official fees are going up. The travel officials, we're getting less and less of them.
So you feel that it needs to be $25?
I feel like $25 will last us another 10 years. I don't want to come back to you in 3 years and say I need more. Does that make sense? And they can do the field days, the activities at the end of the year. All those things are part of that. So that's kind of what gets taken away if we're paying more towards those. And again, it's
think that-
optional, and again, it's $25 to be involved in anything that we have going on at the middle school level.
Thank you for that explanation. I
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. And every school's a little bit different, so, I don't want some parents to think, well, you said, a big dance, and some schools maybe don't put on a big dance. So every school does different things. Does that make sense, activity-wise? Student government leads that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Any other discussion? We've already,
And Heather, just one more comment, sorry about that, just one more comment, like, they do fundraisers and so forth as a school to help subside some of that.
Subsidized?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
so we've already had a motion, a second, and discussion, so all those in favor?
I'd like to amend the motion.
Okay, because I didn't have a second, so if you want to go ahead.
The amendment is, I think the jump to 25 is too high, too much at once. I'd like to propose that goes to only 20.
Okay, so there's a motion to propose to amend the fee increase to $20 for the middle school fee increase for activity cards. Is there a second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes, and so that will take care of approving it with that amendment.
Yep, and all these fees will start for next school year. Like credit cards will start July 1st, but that'll, $20, middle school activity card will start in
Okay.
for next
And we
year.
might have to do it again.
Sure, we might be back 3 to
Okay,
5 years, but
understand.
yep, that's, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that explanation. We'll now move on to curriculum and instruction, technology, school safety, and athletics. We will start with Amy Bowie, who will report on Highland Biology digital license renewal. I would entertain a motion. Oh, wait, go ahead.
Good evening. As you remember, we spoke at the work session regarding the high school biology digital license renewal. Those licenses expire at the end of this school year, and the request and the recommendation is for the board to approve the 6-year digital renewal of the Miller-Levine biology. Just as a reminder, some of the things we discussed is that the 2019 copyright, and that there is not a new copyright of that textbook, and how much time, effort, resources teachers have spent aligning the text and the resources with the standards and incorporating those cross-cutting concepts, engineering practices. The teachers would like to stay the course and continue to develop the curriculum as they have.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. I would entertain a motion regarding the high school biology digital license renewal. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the digital license renewal for high school biology as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? The only thing I will say is that we talked about the fact that anything that's new goes through our curriculum committee, which has parents, and Amy explained to us that this isn't new. It's the same curriculum. So I just want to add that. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next, AJ Watson will report on the 21st Century After School Program update.
Good evening, Board. I just have some information for you in regards to our 21st Century After School Program. As you may know, we have some after-school programs at our elementary schools. 8 of those programs are funded through 21st Century grant that we receive at 8 of our different sites. We actually have 2 different grant cycles that we are working off of, 4 schools with each grant. As of next school year, well, I'll give you the schools. Green Acres, Wilcox, Tendoy, and Tahi are all currently on a grant cycle where they have 1 year remaining on their grant, and then they have the opportunity to renew it for 5 additional school years. I've been told, although I haven't been part of that process before, that for the most part, those grants are renewed for those additional 5 years. The other 4 schools, Ellis, Jefferson, Lewis and Clark, and Washington, are on a grant cycle that we are no longer receiving grant funds for. And that will be effective starting next school year. They did submit a grant request prior to my taking this position, and they did not receive the grant at that time. So we'll no longer have funding for those schools. We've explored some other options and looked for other funding sources. We did not find any other grants that were available that we could apply for at the time. We've also looked at possibly having some other outside programs that might be interested in after-school programs that we use at a couple other elementary schools, but we haven't had anything conclusive come from that at this point. But we wanted to make the board aware that as of right now, we will not be having after-school programs at those 4 locations. That way we could also let parents know that they may need to start making some plans, and let staff know that there would not be a program at those 4 schools at the beginning of next school year.
How does the Boys and Girls Club
That's what I was going to ask.
fit
Any of
into
them
this?
overlap?
They're the group that we have had some conversations with in regards to possibly looking at those schools. Dr. Howell and I met with the Boys and Girls Club, and they were taking it to their board to make some determinations about possibly looking at providing after-school programs at a couple of those schools. One of those schools that we don't know, but we gave them, we knew what was going to be taking place, and so they were considering it, and we have yet to hear back from them. Same thing, it comes down to funding and resources, and they were taking a look at that and going to see if there was anything that they could do. So if there are some things, we'll continue to explore those options, but at this point, we wanted to make sure where we're getting closer to the end of the school year that we were able to at least let families know that those programs in terms of the after-school 21st century programs will not be continuing. And if we do get other options, that will be great, and we will let them know, even if it's 1 or 2 of our schools, that they can provide supports, but otherwise we won't be able to continue with the 21st century program.
Can any of those families go to the schools? It has to be their home.
It has to be their home school. There's no transportation that's provided in regards to that. So I know Boys and Girls Club, in some locations, they do provide transportation. So, down the road, they're kind of separate from where this is more of a district program, although it's grant funded. Boys and Girls Club, they have their own board and have their own program. So, hey, that's good timing. And so They could provide down the road transportation, but they are not currently. It's just they are at Indian Hills and Syringa right now, our Boys and Girls Clubs, and they just are at those schools. They only provide for
And the
those two.
district wouldn't be able to provide that out of any funds.
No, it's about currently it's about $155,000 that would
Okay.
be required for running. That's why resources are, as we look at resources and funding options, it's fairly expensive to run these programs with all the staff and the things that are required, but definitely beneficial. We wanted to make sure everyone was aware, including the board, of where we stand with.
And then is
After
that
school.
grant, can you reapply?
You can reapply, so we were hoping we'd be able to reapply this year, but they didn't open the grant this year. So we will try to reapply again, hopefully next year, if they open the grant, to reapply for those schools and see if we can get that grant again.
As
Thank
Mr.
you.
Watson mentioned, we actually lost the grant a year ago, but we were able to sustain that one more year with our ESSER funds
Oh,
through the federal government stimulus money. So we were able to keep that
oh,
going.
that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
AJ.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Next, Sue will report on the following: technology update and document request. Documentary request. I knew I said that wrong.
That's okay. Technology, so just so you know, we received, I believe, all of our Chromebooks for next year, and they are processing those and getting those ready to distribute next year, and bring in the old Chromebooks and redistribute the ones we're redistributing and recycle the ones we're not going to be using again. And then, excuse me, we've done our state reporting for March, and I shared that last time when we were here, and there was a couple of errors on that, so we got to fix those. And it sounds like it's a quick, easy thing, but it's hours to fix one little mistake, and so we fixed those, got those submitted again, and did get confirmation that those were done, and then we start that all over again in a week. So we have our May submission coming up next. Documentary for Pocatello High School. Lisa Delanos was approached by a documentary filmmaker, and he would like to do the possibility of using Pocatello High School for a documentary about the day in the life of prom for high school students. He's done several documentaries before. I looked at some of them. They're very well done, very middle of the road, modest. There's nothing flamboyant. There's nothing out of character on that. And then all of this is done with parent permission only, and that's the only students that he would be able to talk to. It is not a definite that Pocatello High School is chosen for this, but they'd like the opportunity to put their hat in the ring for it, and they would request board approval to do that. So.
I would entertain a motion to authorize Pocatello High School to work with the documentary filmmaker Andrew Jenks, with the understanding that all necessary consent and legal forms be reviewed and approved by the superintendent. Is there a motion?
I hereby make a motion. Authorize? Is that what we want to say
Make
that?
a motion to,
I hereby make a motion to authorize Pocatello High School to work with the documentary filmmakers.
is there a
as
second?
presented.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Is there any concern?
I have concern.
I'm
Go
a little
ahead, Jim.
concerned. I hear that you've seen his documentaries and everything. I don't know. My concern was when I read this was, if one of my kids was involved in that, I probably would not sign the thing for him.
And that's fine. And the only the only students that he will be able to talk to is with parent consent only.
My concern is, I don't, it's a reflection upon our school district. And my only ask is, would we or administration, would somebody be able to preview that documentary before it goes live?
We can ask for that. I don't, that's not, like I said, that part of the discussion hadn't gotten into it yet.
Can we amend that to say that, that somebody, whether it's administration, it doesn't have to be the board. If it's the administration, you.
And preview it before.
Maybe you and Doug or something could preview it, just to be sure. I
Yep.
mean,
I agree
we
with
know it looks like he's a good filmmaker, but, it's our kids. And I don't just want to trust anyone.
if that's a stipulation that the board would like to put on that,
And is
absolutely.
that reasonable? Will they still be able to apply for that?
You can
That's
ask.
we can ask.
Yeah. Somebody, if they're doing their work, they don't want us coming in and editing it. And
Oh, no, just a final preview. What do you think, Sue? Do you think that's reasonable or important?
I think it's a reasonable ask. I don't know if that they'll grant it or not, but I think it's a reasonable ask.
If we add it to that and then they come back, can they come back and let us know that they won't be approved or not? And
Yes.
then- Okay. So I would move that we approve this document. Okay, so we've already moved, we've already had a motion, and we've already had a second. So I would make another motion to go ahead and approve this. If there's an opportunity for somebody in the administration to just kind of preview this before it goes live.
Okay.
So is there, that's my motion, is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Did you say aye?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? The motion passed. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you
Sue.
very much.
Next on the agenda is Human Resources, which will be presented by Brenda Miner. She'll report on staffing update.
Good evening. This is a busy time of year in HR with hiring. As we start to look tonight, I'll first just discuss our certified, and then in following months, we'll talk about classified and where we are with hiring in that respect. So just kind of an update from last month. Since we were here last, we have hired 2 elementary principals at one for Syringa and one for Tendoy, and then so that leaves us with Tendoy's new principal is Crystal Lockyer, and so she will be leaving Alameda as the middle school, so we have that opening, and those interviews will be this week. In the elementary, we have 2 Category 1s, and remember, those Category 1 jobs are people who are hired after August 1st, and so it's not to say that they won't be back, but it's just to say that that job has to be reopened and they have to reapply. So we still have 2 of those. We also have 6 elementary openings, and those 6 elementary openings are in addition to the ones that, as we look ahead to budget and looking at the numbers and the decrease that was in our elementary enrollment this year, we were able to, Mr. Watson and I had met with Superintendent Howell, and we, were able to share that we did, through attrition, take 10 different classrooms throughout the city, and we were able to downsize by 10 elementary classrooms. That being said, the numbers in the classrooms that are remaining are still equitable. They're still in the range that they need to be in. And we have also already met with, Mr. Watson and I have went out to the teachers that were going to be displaced, and we have met with them, and they have already met with their new school. And so that situation, we have everyone in place and still have those other 6 elementary openings. That being said, in the middle school, we have 1 special education, we have 1 full-time 7th grade math, and a .5 science. In high school, again, we have 2 Category 1 teachers, and then we have 2 more special education teachers, a math teacher at Century High School, and an ELA teacher at New Horizon. And then also we have a few in our ancillary. We have 1 school psych who is going to take a year leave of absence. We have a nurse to rehire and an SLP position. And then a school prevention as well. So those are kind of our ancillary staff. Any questions on hiring?
No, that sounds great.
Okay,
Thank you, Brenda.
great, thanks.
Appreciate that. Well, next on the agenda is business operations, which will be presented by Jonathan Balls. He will report on food service, bid awards, Olympus Junction subdivision development agreement, Highland Rebuild Design Committee, revision and update.
Board members, first, in front of you is our request to sponsor a summer feeding program. Again, we've done this for 23 years in our community. Last year, again, served lunch for 44 days, serving a little over 74,000 lunches. This year, we proposing 7 different sites, 6 parks, and 1 elementary school there at Syringa. And we would do that from June 3rd to August 2nd, and then take off those July 4th and 5th as well there.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve the request to hold the food service summer parks meal program. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the request to hold the food service summer park meal program as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Jonathan, where do the funds come from, the finances?
So it's all it's through the food service program, so it's all self-contained. They pay for themselves. And so through reimbursements from the federal, from the USDA, and from the amount of money, that they gather throughout the school year. So it is, it is self-sustaining. That's the word.
And it does fall within the guidelines of those who are paying for lunches are not paying for those who aren't paying for
So
lunches.
this is free to all children.
Oh, so it's
18 and below.
everybody.
The requirements are they have to eat at the facility. So I couldn't come and grab 5 lunches and take them off. So
And then the adults still pay.
adults
It is
still pay,
now.
yeah.
Is it 5? I don't know what it is.
It
My
could-
kids went, we paid $3 for me to eat.
Okay,
So I don't know what it is today.
Okay.
but-
Well, times
It's maybe a little bit
Yes.
more than
I think
that.
it's $4.85
So yes,
a day.
if parents want to
Something
eat,
like
they do pay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mr. Balls, there is a qualification, though, by the neighborhood.
Oh,
There-
yes,
there-
yeah,
can
that,
you
I
talk
didn't.
a little bit about
You bet, no one asked that, so I didn't know. So yes, these parks actually, you have to qualify to be able to sponsor a park. And it's on free and reduced, and that neighborhood, they do it by census, has to be above 50% free and reduced. So you'll see there's definitely some geographic areas that are not represented here in the parks. It's not because we didn't want to feed those children there, it's just they do not qualify. And
But it
so
doesn't
That's
mean
good
they
to know.
can't.
it doesn't mean they can't travel, correct. They can go to any park that they'd like, it's just that's where we host them.
Thank you. We've had a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next is the bid awards. I would entertain, go ahead. Sorry.
We'll go through these as quickly as you'd like. Again, I'll start with the asphalt maintenance. I don't know exactly what order they're on your computer there. Again, this is just some various maintenance projects, smaller parking lots throughout the district. Again, 14 vendors were invited. We received bids back from 5 vendors. And you'll see the lowest responsible overall bidder. They're highlighted in yellow, Pocatello Sweeping and Snow Removal. So it is our request here, as I'm done with all of these bid requests, that we approve the projects outlined for Pocatello Sweeping and Snow Removal. And you'll see that this bid amount came at approximately $27,646 under the budgeted amount. So I will mention, just again, if anyone wants, there'll be overs and unders on all these, and so we are well under budget on all of these. But I have the summaries if you'd like the one there. The second one is the team room at the athletic facility at Highland High School. This is similar to this same facility that was done at Lookout Field for Pocatello High School and at Century High School last summer. Again, we invited 8 vendors to bid, and we've got 5 bids back, which we thought was just great. You'll see the difference between the number 1 and number 2 is only $400, and so we felt pretty good about those. But we have vetted and checked references and feel comfortable. We've evaluated all their subcontractors. We feel comfortable awarding or proposing that EKC out of Boise, Idaho, be awarded the bid to build the Highland Team Room.
Where is this team, sorry, where is
No,
this
you
team room
first.
going?
Excellent thought. So that
Where you gonna put it?
it'll be down on the north side of the track.
By the
There's
track,
a
okay.
Do you
there's
know where the two sheds are?
Mm-hmm.
The white sheds?
Correct. And that's part of this is to remove the sheds and to build the shed back there.
Build a- so-
And can we see the plans?
Yes, we
Okay,
can. I
but
have those in my office,
yeah,
and
this
so
one
it's very similar.
So is it the same size as
It
Century?
is larger. just.
Than
'cause
Century's?
Correct, just a little bit.
One other question.
And it does not have a concessions, because that's up on the hill.
Oh, understood, yes.
Yeah.
However, it does have shower.
Yes, yes, that's where I was, as you'll notice, there is a little bit of overage there. It does have 4 showers there, and we're working with insurance because we believe they should help pay for that.
Yes.
And so, because
And
the
we agree.
other team rooms do not have that.
Yes.
And so this was kind of an
Because
add-on.
of the fact that all of our locker rooms are burned.
Correct, correct.
And we don't have
so-
a single shower on the entire
Yeah.
campus.
And it's
now.
designed with the door in between the two, so that say a visiting can access all 4 of those showers. Of course, then we'll lock it on the one side. So it's
And then give the other team a turn.
correct. Well, they would be, normally a home team normally doesn't shower.
You just go home.
They would
Okay.
just go home. But if
Okay.
a team traveling from Boise, they would have access to
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah,
And
we definitely
There
can show you.
were a couple of concerns. I'll just tell you all of them, and you can just kind of.
Okay.
Officials, where would the officials go at halftime?
Gateway.
Gateway?
Yep.
And are there showers for them? Or do you have to? provide
There
that?
will be by the start of football.
Okay. Second one is storage for the band, a marching band, and for football equipment. Is there an option for that? Or could we look into an option for that, for a boxcar or something for them to have that weatherproof?
Yeah, the marching band,
Storage.
I haven't heard of that one yet. I do know that
Or
the
would they
football
be
has
able to
some.
back their trailer? Is there an option for them to be able to get their equipment on and off the field? Could they store it at
Yeah,
the
because their
gateway?
trailer is down there, correct? Yes, and that could be an option, especially after we rebuild Highland.
Okay.
That would be there. The football equipment, I think that big shed, I believe, is tracks, I believe, or part of it is some of the football field
I
equipment.
know all the things that are currently there are being used. I just don't know about.
Okay. I do know football does have a boxcar up on the field there, so we'll go from there. But
Okay.
yeah, we could definitely look
Okay.
into those 2 things.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the
Um,
next one, I do have a few, we'll keep going through this. Next is some HVAC upgrade at Irving Middle School. This actually, for those of you who know HVAC, the old school was steam, and it was very inefficient, extremely hard to control, and this will actually remove the remaining amount of steam from there and go to high efficiency boiler, high efficiency units there. So again, 12 vendors were invited. We just received 1 vendor back, Mechanical Solutions here in town. So it is our request that you approve that. You'll see that not knowing the scope, or we knew the scope, not knowing everything there, you'll see this was a large amount of under a budget of $276,000. And so that will help. I guess I didn't finish the team room because that will help kind of offset some of that team room overage in the event that insurance doesn't cover all that.
I see. And is there any remaining ESSER money to go toward these HVACs?
So yes, those, both of those HVACs will be paid through ESSER. And we'll make sure we use all that ESSER money there.
Great, great
Yes.
news.
Yep, that is. The next one is central plant equipment. Again, a little bit more extensive there at Jefferson Elementary School. Again, we invited 11 vendors and we received 1 bid back from Mechanical Solutions for $699,500. Again, with all the project, because this project has controls in there, so when we figured that, it was about $35,586 under the estimated amount that we had budgeted there. So the next one is kitchen plumbing revision. This is in the basement of Pocatello High School, and basically that plumbing is gone. It's on its last leg, and so it needs to be removed and updated. This alternate number 1, we won't know until we actually remove the pipe. We just, and we did this through, obviously, we cameraed, put a scope camera through those lines and saw how bad they were. We weren't able to get into the mechanical room to review that pipe, and so that's what that bid alternate number 1 is. we won't know until we get up to that mechanical room and literally can, remove the existing pipe and then look to see inside of that boiler room to see what is needed there.
Is this the last remaining plumbing issues that Pokey has?
Um,
Or a lot has already been addressed with the remodel?
I would probably say no, just because just the immense, the scope of that. Part of it is we do our best to maintain those. It's just when this started to fail and we saw some backup, and that's when we realized, we had to put a camera in there, and that was fail. So it does take this is by far the worst area of that, but I can't say it would handle them all. But we don't know of, and we don't foresee any problems in the future there.
Thanks.
So will they do that this summer? during the
Correct.
summer? Is
Yep,
that-
yep. So that would be a summer, and M&S, again, we had 4 vendors invited to bid, M&S here in town. We're able to do that, and we've had great experience with them hitting our deadlines. Again, not knowing the scope of the project, again, this is another project that was under budget that came in under budget about $214,000. The next one is replacement of lighting at both Chubbuck and Tyhee. Again, 9 vendors were invited to bid, and we again received 1 bid from Saunderson Electric here in town. This is those that we will get tens of thousands of dollars back from Idaho Power as a rebate because of this, and of course some decreased lighting utility bills. And so this is just kind of one of our ongoing maintenance that our SIP project's able to do for us, and just brightens up and makes these our elementary schools, is what we've been doing, really good. And so this is approximately $8,400 over our estimated budget. But again, it's our request that we approve this bid for Saunderson Electric. The next one is some roofing, and this was some various roofs that we wanted to look at. We wanted to look at bids there. Again, we received 2 bids out of the 10 that were invited there, but however, one bid was non-responsive. That means they didn't follow all of our open bidding laws. And so the one that we have remaining is from Thomas Robinson Roofing. However, because of the budget, we are, in front of you is the yellow highlighted that we would like to go ahead and complete this summer. And then the others will, continue to evaluate. We'll patch if needed to eliminate any leaks, and then evaluate that next summer. So the yellow highlighted is to start at Century High School. That is extremely large roof and will have to be done over years, but it has not been replaced since it was built. And then the other one, IH, is Indian Hills, and that will be a full roof replacement for Indian Hills. So that elementary will be there.
Do you think you'd do the Highland one when the rest of the construction's going on? The thought with that?
Possibly. That is possibly. We were just shocked at how expensive, that one was. It's just, as you look in there, it's
Is it
just
just because it's in worse shape, or is it just because of the design or the size?
design and size. And because it just was so customizable, because part of it is the skylight, you have to kind of, also modify the roof around it, so there's no leaking and so forth like
Does
that.
that have to be replaced, that skylight in the library?
Correct, yeah, this is the skylight in the library that they were talking to. So yes, we can look at that, obviously look at the budget and go forth with that. So with those two, we are still approximately 44,000 over what we had thought the roofing would be there, so. And then the next one is arches. This is the building on Pershing, across from our maintenance shop. Again, remember, this is our arches program. This used to be Voice and Link that came out of ISU, not just really scrambling to try to find a place. And so they've made, we remodeled this building, and they've done well with it. It just needs a few more bathrooms and a little bit more space. And so we kind of, that's where we divided it up into bid alternate one is a little bit larger classrooms, 816 square feet of that. And then alternate two is actually, as you know, to put the addition on, sometimes you do the other roof at the same time, so the entire roof has the same warranty timeline. And so that's what bid alternate number 1 and bid alternate number 2. We would propose that we do all of these projects just to get this building the very best we can and get it at this point in time. And so we would use the 450 from capital improvement, and then there is a remaining amount in ESSER that we can use because we'll put it under the social distancing clause for COVID, and use 258,000 from that.
That's great.
So.
Aren't we scheduled for a tour of this building next month, I think?
Okay, great. Yes, okay, that'd be great. Yep, you'll see firsthand, and again, we can show you the drawings as well, as well. I believe that was all the bids.
Thank you. I would
I have
entertain a motion.
I
Oh,
do
I'm
have one
sorry.
question.
Oh,
Yes,
yes,
please.
sorry.
So on the asphalt,
Yes.
there is an extreme range in the prices. Does that concern you at all? I mean, when you look at the bids on those,
Yes, typically it does. Typically it does. We have used Pocatello sweeping previously,
right?
and so we know their quality is good. We will kind of watch and test and make sure they do a good job for us.
Okay. I see such a difference in their price. I mean, and all of their prices are all over the board, you know?
Correct.
And,
Do they all understand the same?
Yep. We've vetted that to make sure they understand, the scope of that.
Good lesson to get more than one bid.
Correct. And that's, and you're right. So yes, Trustee Facer, we do definitely, we look for that, but we do have experience with
okay.
this.
Well, if you've used them before and they didn't get it, I'm not too concerned. I just know that, I mean, working in the construction, sometimes if you have a really high bid, you just throw it out. If you have a really, really low bid, sometimes you're concerned that,
Correct.
they've missed something or.
Correct.
And-
And if you look to see between them and the Mickelson Construction, those are
There's
at least
three of them
fairly
that are
close.
really close, and then there's other two that are like way out there.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. That's a great question.
I just have one other question,
Go
really
ahead.
quick. When you get these bids,
Uh-huh.
are the contractors able to see other people's bids, and are they able to come back and say, well, actually, I'll do it for less? I'm just
Yes, no.
curious.
Yes and no.
Okay.
So yes, it is an open bid process. So anybody can come.
But they can't change their bid?
They cannot change the bid.
Okay.
Once it's sealed and it's okay, 10 o'clock. It's by 10 o'clock, it's done. We've had some that they left it in the car, and luckily it was somebody that it was okay that we didn't get their bid, but it was that there. We had even have one that, got this bid, but not the second bid, and so they said, oh, we could do it less, and it's like, sorry, no, it has to be open and
So it's
fair.
all the law.
Correct. Everybody has the same opportunity, the same chance to do that, so no, we can't.
That's good to know. I was just curious with this Highland project coming forward.
Correct.
Okay, so we've had our discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have to make a motion,
Oh, I
don't we?
We didn't do a motion. I would entertain a motion.
I hereby move that the board award the listed bids as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. And now the Olympus Junction Subdivision Development
Development
Agreement.
agreement, okay. This is an agreement, and board, we are not going to take action on this because it will change. And so I just found that out literally today, and I'll explain that real quick. So this development agreement is between basically the city of Pocatello and the owner of the property there at Jerome and Olympus. And essentially what it is that whoever develops that land will have to put in the road to the north, the Venture Way. This came about, again, initially, this document came through some negotiation because initially, remember, we had asked to subdivide that property for Jerome, and we were initially told, oh, you need to develop the road. We said, no, we're not road developers. Then this was the compromise, that this would essentially, almost like a lien, placed on this property that would follow that. If there is any development, this is the road and the specifications to do that. So our compromise was this document, and we are paying to have the road planned, designed.
And then we're asking them to pay for the construction
Yes,
cost.
yeah, that's, we would not do
And we're
that.
waiting to hear from them if they accept it.
Correct. So now this is, a lot of this is boilerplate. We have run it by our lawyer. And so the developer for Mountain States, Mountain States Property, yeah, I knew it. Okay. Mountain States Property to kind of, to weigh in on that. You can see it's
Okay.
well on the city side, but it will come back to you again with some changes, and then we'll ask you to approve that, and we will then sign it.
Okay, thank you. The next thing is a Highland rebuild and design.
We have
Oh,
our
it's-
we have our architect and general contractor here. Do you want them to
Yeah.
kind of help?
Yeah, that would,
We'll pull a
yeah, because we
couple
kind of need to, is it okay if we also have the members of the design committee just be here available for the rest of the board members that were not present to ask questions to them? Is that okay? Where it's on here as a,
I think
it's on here
I mean,
as,
it's
what's it on here as?
just as however long you want to take, sure.
It's just an update. I just wondered
sure.
if Jim or Ray
Sure.
had any questions for them.
it's your meeting, yeah,
Okay.
we can do that.
Okay, all right, if you do have any questions, we have some.
Couple of those would be, and we got a couple different mics, but we can grab a couple chairs and.
Yes,
um,
and
just kinda-
I just have to say that this design committee is just amazing.
Yeah.
They have gone to kitchen employees, choir directors, all kinds of different people to kind of really just get a feel for what the needs are. And they brought all this information back. And my opinion, as you know, from the beginning of this project till now, has completely changed. After listening to Mike and everybody, Kent and Shay, everybody, I've completely changed my mind. So I just want you to know how important that this process has been for me personally. So thank you.
And it definitely, and these gentlemen can talk to you, the process is so important, to our end result. And so,
Yes.
thank you for letting us.
And all that research is just so valuable.
Correct.
There's just no way that we could have had that information in any other way.
So if I might, we just need to discuss, I think it was brought up that, okay, do we need another Highland staff, an athletic coach, or would, Camille suffice there? I didn't know.
We didn't have a coach, well, we had intended a coach that had use of the gym, because there isn't a coach that represents the gym, weight room, wrestling, or anything like that. So we had intended, a coach. But we do have Camille.
Correct.
And then Akila.
Correct, and she's the.
And so this is just, if they want to have another person, they can. It just kind of lets them decide. And if they want to, they can. If they don't want to, they don't have to. And
If I could just weigh in just for myself, I think, again, we have a great committee. I think Camille, teaching weights, teaching PE, along with Travis, with Mr. Bell, the athletic director, and having already started with the committee, and you mentioned they're doing a great job, I think our committee is pretty well representative from the coaches.
yeah,
But that's just
fine
my
with-
opinion.
After
but-
talking to Travis and everybody else, I don't think we need to add
Okay,
this coach.
great.
But if,
We're on the same
if we wanted to add it for them to be able to, the only other question I had is, Akila, is he an employee?
He is not.
Yes, he's
Okay.
So
a football
that was my
coach.
only- That was
football
my
coach.
only worry, is that he is a parent, and that division wasn't supposed to be an employee, and so he could just kind of slide into that coach position. He's not paid.
Oh,
That's all we need to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Perfect.
Thank you,
That's-
Sue.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a football coach.
Well,
but yeah,
then everything is fine.
Volunteer, yeah, okay.
And Michelle,
I can just tell you, I did talk to Camille Long, and she has reached out to athletic coach feedback from them, so we will get to hear
Okay,
from additional coaches at Highland High
and
School.
just so they know, they can come and present as public comment, as a comment.
Felt really good about her interactions with them, and that she's confident that she can bring to the meeting, when we meet as a committee, the information and requests and desires that they would like to see from Highland High School moving forward, so.
Okay, along with Travis, so that's
She'll
great.
bring that to the meeting next week, just on representing the other coaches at Highland. So
That's-
we'll have some good representation, I think, from her, from them.
Okay, perfect, that's great. We've had an amazing team that has just reached out to so many people, community members, other teachers that aren't on the committee. It's been really amazing. Anyway, so go ahead.
So Kent, I had a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there on Monday, and I'm disappointed. I still need to get back up to Highland, and I have my book to give to you. I just had a question on our last committee meeting. I too, and, Aaron, who spoke about his appreciation for this committee, I mean, it has been incredibly valuable, and I cannot say enough about these committee members who have stepped up and done some of this legwork and the questions and the answering and those kinds of things. How do you envision the committee? I mean, one of the things I noticed in the last committee is that we kind of were a little scattershot. We obviously have people that are very, we've got our theater, I don't know, I can't see who else is back there, but he obviously has his focus, and the science teacher has their focus, and coaches and some of the teachers. Do you envision us moving into subcommittees?
No,
Or are you still
no,
wanting
it's,
to?
it's not unusual to have disparate views and
I
feelings about
appreciate
things.
disparate views. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering when we've got so many areas to focus on, will we be able to get what you need?
I
Or
think,
are you amazing?
I
You
th-
can just assimilate all of it.
I think I can
That's what
handle
I'm
it.
thinking.
Okay.
No,
And that's
it's
just,
a really good question, but
Yeah.
the whole process is just to kind of distill information and try and reach a consensus.
okay,
And I think we've made great progress that way.
okay.
I've seen people that have been willing to make concessions. I've seen people that have obviously realized that the budget is the critical issue, and they're willing to look for creative ways to still get the best value for the dollars that we have.
And you feel like a consent, only because.
As long as we don't have a full-out rumble, I think we'll be all
Well, and
right.
that's why I
can
know
just
very
adjourn the
little
meeting.
about what the science group needs, but yet I know music and art, but
that's
how
what
do
we
you?
What's
Right.
really
Be able
great
to
about the
pull that all
process
in.
is you have as many people there, and we've got a big committee.
Yep.
If you break out, do breakout sessions, then you've just got kind of a bifurcated opinion.
Okay,
I really like having everybody there so everybody has say. And I've seen a couple of instances where things have come up that would probably be a little more costly. And the committee as a whole kind of worked through that and brought it back to maybe a better direction.
That give
And I think
take.
that's what happens when you have more people.
okay.
'cause
More
I've
more
also-
voices of reason. And I think
And I
our
guess you would hope that those that are advocating, again, only because I see the theater teacher, what he's going to advocate for, those of us or those that aren't as familiar with the theater needs would
Yeah.
kind of
well,
allow him to speak, those
the,
kind of give and
the,
takes.
the keystone and linchpin to this process is the budget.
Right.
And people the goal will be to bring people back to the budget. Like I say, with the best solution possible within the constraints of the budget. If we didn't have a budget, people could go all over
Oh,
the
of
place,
course.
right?
We'd
It's
have
the
Taj
budget,
Mahal.
the budget is the policeman in this process. And I feel great about it. I think the
Okay,
committee has
that's
done
great.
fantastic.
Performed that role very well.
Yeah, I think we've made good progress. I would hope by the end of the month, we're sketching together and coming up with some concepts and some ideas.
Okay.
And maybe by the second week of May, Mike has sorted through the cost, we get some good cost numbers, and we're moving forward.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate that.
The other thing is that, tell me your opinion, Kent, on you had your whiteboard and you said zone 1, 2, and 3, 1 being the first, the part closest to the teacher, student parking. Does everybody understand? You know, Jim, right? The student parking, that would be 1. The zone 2 would be 2, and 3 would be the auditorium.
Yeah,
So do we need to come to a consensus here now, like where you want that preliminarily, like the order?
Well, the
Comments,
committee suggested, the auditorium towards the,
Yeah, you actually are
Teacher parking.
towards teacher parking,
Right.
the cafeteria in the middle,
Middle.
and then the gymnasium towards student parking. And I think that's a good solution.
This is what you guys have the opportunity to weigh in. You weren't there. So I wanted to be sure that, you have that opportunity.
So that picture, I don't know, is it, I don't know
Yeah,
if
it's
it's a
in there.
separate attachment or?
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, so that's the one that Kent drew up on the board.
You might want to say that. That could be worth a lot of money someday.
And just,
Jim,
I like that idea. At first I didn't, but then it was explained. I like that idea. Oh, I'm sorry, did you?
Oh, Jim, I'm just trying to get him oriented. It'll be the third attachment.
Okay.
Yeah, and then fourth page.
I had not locked into a decision on that, but the committee, I think, felt pretty strongly about it. And now that I think about it, it's a good solution.
We
The
did,
real advantage to it is you can use the commons area as a lobby for the auditorium, which is a big money savings.
right. And the one thing that I like that you had mentioned is that the one thing that Highland has going for it is the view of the golf course.
Yeah, yep.
And that will be able to be achieved
Yep.
by windows on the back and along the back side. If we do a two-story
Absolutely, yep.
option, we'll achieve that view.
Yep.
And I love that.
And just so everybody knows, the next step, once we get the program flushed out and everybody's semi-happy, then we start putting sketch to paper. And there's not going to be, I should emphasize, there's not going to be one solution. We're not going to sketch up something and say, here you are. We'll have multiple sketches and multiple options that the committee can weigh in on, just
Yeah,
like they have on the
Jim.
text.
But Jim, I know you wanted to be involved in this, so just so you know, those sketches will come to us first, and then they'll go to the committee. Just so, because I know Jim was really wanting to make sure that. he did that process.
What I would say is we'll definitely get the sketches in front of everybody. A lot of the sketching, some of the sketching will actually take place in the committee. It's actually a committee process. Everybody gets their crayons and we kind of sketch up some things.
This is, talking about bedlam.
So maybe this is a good time. So we did talk to Kent, and through two of these meetings, we are going to kind of make it more efficient and Kent's going to give us a tentative agenda ahead of time. So the committee members will kind of know okay, these are the things that we need to try to accomplish. And that will
Yeah.
help us.
And we
It was
move
an
on.
hour and a half last time, which I think is about normal, but that way we know, okay, here's what we need to accomplish, this week.
Yeah, now that we've distilled it down quite a bit, there will be 3 or 4 key items that we'll need to resolve before we can go any further. And I'll identify those for Jonathan.
Are you talking about 3 or 4 key items right now?
No, in our next committee meeting.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay. Let's see, also, we had talked about 2 more things. Do we need to prioritize any of these spaces, Kent? Are we going to be able to have all of these spaces that are in your book? Or do we need to, because your kind of theme for the discussion is, what can we cut?
I think when's our next committee meeting? 25th? 24th. I think that'll be part of that committee meeting. That'll give me time to kind of go through where we're at. I don't think we're substantially above the threshold that we need to be at, frankly. The addition,
With all the,
What?
with the scattershot that you were hit with?
the addition of the three additional science rooms kind of bump us up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But I think we're in a good range, especially if we can use the commons area for the lobby to the auditorium, which makes a lot of sense.
It does, and
Yeah.
one thing that I think is really kind of cool about that is it's gonna be scooted so that the commons that we had talked about, the outdoor commons, I think we all wanted that, we just wanted timing-wise it to be later. That would kind of come out into that, and then it would tie the wings of the school together.
Yeah.
So that's, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, no, like I said, the goal in the next couple of meetings is gonna just be able to get down to where we need to be, try to keep everybody as happy as we can. But again, the budget dictates.
Yep.
There's no getting around that.
Yes.
So,
And your drawings are gonna be all different costs.
are gonna be what?
They're gonna be all different prices, right?
Well, that depends on what Mike decides.
Okay.
We're gonna try,
We'll just wait and see
we'll,
what you come up with.
all of the options of how something goes together will all be within the envelope of the overall size. I'm not gonna give Mike an option that's 120,000 and another that's 150,000. They'll all be within, they'll all be within the same general size.
Great.
Because that's what he's gonna base his numbers on initially.
So, great. The last thing I'm sorry. No, you're good. Did you want to say something?
Well, just to reiterate that you're right on task with this, because you do want to get everything you need into this, and then use the dollars to help make decision as to what's going to come back out of it to get it to where it really needs to be. And that'll help you prioritize and figure out, separate the needs from the wants that may get separated out throughout this process. And then you may have some that are kind of in between that can be bid alternates too, that, if the bids come in such that there's enough that we can keep these in the project, then great. But if not, then these get dropped off with the rest too. So the real process is in the development Ken is taking you through, which she's doing great. The committee was great. I got to attend the walkthroughs with them at each of the facilities, and you could tell when somebody was in their specialty because they were asking all the right questions.
They got a little,
yeah, it was awesome. I was very impressed.
Very proud.
With the group, the committee as a whole, from top to bottom. They did a wonderful job with these walkthroughs and what they were asking of the facility people. Just the questions they come up with. It's a very good group. You guys did excellent in putting this group together.
And Brian was golden.
Oh, yeah, Brian's always golden, so that was good. But it's going to be very interesting to see how you guys create your own identity with this group too, and I'm looking forward to it. But again, as Kent said, the dollars are what's going to help you guys make decisions moving forward once
And
we get
so-
to that point and get everything in there that you feel like you should have in there too.
So those dollar figures, anytime there's, that would come to the board and then go, just so that because we're responsible for the money, and then it would go back. But we can convene a special board meeting a half hour before the committee. We can do anything. We're all flexible, right? We're very flexible. We will not impede the process.
And then as we get close to that, when we do see sketches to dollars, then we will need to sit down and, we'll pinpoint our different sources, of funds, how we're going to do this. And here's the variables that we have and how we still cover ourselves to make sure we can cover all the bids that, that Kent has designed for.
Thank you so much. Does anybody do you guys have any other questions? Did you have any, Jim? Any other? Okay, the other thing, I'm sorry, there are a lot of things I was wanting to know. The other thing is there were a lot of suggestions about the land across the street and, the suggestion, you can't touch that, it's for me for this, which was just a joke, I understand. But I wondered if we as a board, along with with you to help us to know what a good idea for that would be. This is just a Google map of that land across the street, just so that everybody is knowing what we're talking about. Sorry, Kira. I think you know, but it's kind of got this diagonal piece, I'll just kind of look off of yours. So because it's kind of integrated into this project, I don't know if we need to kind of have an idea as to the future of that, at least tentatively. Definitely not a decision item, but just tentatively. One thing that I was wondering that I wanted to ask you and the rest of the board members is if this is the road, this is Highland, no, this is Highland, this is the road. So if this is Highland and this is the road, we had talked about making a road through where the tennis courts are and tearing them out and putting them over here. Where am I?
It would be up in the top right, I think,
Okay,
Madam
so
Chair.
what I was wondering is if we wanted to, I have all the acreages for it, what I was wondering is if we want to put tennis courts over here, a soccer field over here, and then we would have enough room for, I'll tell you, this is just an idea. Tennis courts, if there were 6 courts, it'd be 0.39 acres, 8 courts would be 0.51, soccer field would be 1.7 to 2.2 acres, and parking would be 162 diagonal spaces per acre. The total acres is 6 acres, so that would be 2.5 acres for both sports, the soccer and the tennis courts, if we were to build 6. And then it would be 3.5 for parking, which is a total of 567 spaces. So,
So, and again, we can flush these out. Again, with soccer, you know, they will have the turf. There,
does
down there.
that conflict though, where they have spring and fall, and then they don't have another place to practice? And girls and boys and football and band, because all of them would be using the turf. Is that, do we need another, I mean, we have this opportunity, so this is just an idea.
Sure.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe this
we
is
can discuss there.
preliminary.
And it's, yeah, I know last year they used Alameda. You know, we
Yeah.
winded
But
that
where
so
we're
they could go
at
there.
this stage of design, do we want to fix that? So they don't have to go across town? I know parents were very unhappy about that,
Sure, that was
which,
just
you know, I'm just wondering, is this too preliminary to kind of have a bird's eye view of what this whole thing will look like? Or,
I would probably say, I like getting the ideas out there, and it might be for like a work session type thing, but we don't own it yet. And we anticipate
so I
that
guess
we
we
will.
gotta start digging.
We gotta, go there, but for
Okay.
these gentlemen, you know, obviously this would be nothing in their, at least the existing budget, you know, they
Well,
haven't,
Oh, yeah.
don't know that quite
It wouldn't
yet.
be a part of this budget.
But-
Your driveways, your exits, that's what you would need to know.
Right, and
Have all that space to be able to have that one way going up Fairway, or if you don't.
yeah, and I should have mentioned, part of our schematic conceptual sketches, they don't just look at the building, they will look at the entire site. Pedestrian circulation, bus circulation, parking, everything.
Yes, because we were talking about that, and it really is one of the very first stages, because if your footprint doesn't allow for that
Right,
circulation,
yeah.
then you're back to the drawing board.
Yeah, my site people will be putting together site drawings as well as concepts for the
So
building.
a little bit we do need to know, just at least the tennis court part, right? So that you know if that's a part of your design.
Yeah, the tennis court would be helpful, yeah.
And I would also throw in there parking. I mean, that's, again, a year ago, we were planning on doing parking, you know, before 5 days from now when it changed. So,
We need 6 acres of parking, probably not.
no, that
That's
would
why I'm
be
saying,
so
we've got
expensive.
dirt.
Correct.
We've got dirt, and soccer fields are relatively inexpensive. When we're talking about what we're talking about, relatively, they're very.
Well, I thought originally the big purpose for looking at that land was for parking. To
Oh,
get a
yeah.
couple acres there is for parking.
There'll be 500, if we do both of those things, the tennis courts will free up that area for parking. If we wanted to during the school day or during an event in the evening. Would also have 567 more parking spots.
Well, that's if you did 3 acres. If you did 2 acres, that's still 300 plus parking spots, which with
Right,
the other
right.
parking spot, I mean, that's,
This is my math, so it might be wrong.
Look at that. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, again, and Kent mentioned, again, the busing, because busing is a big thing.
Right, the
and
bus
safety.
exit, the bus exit back.
I'm even talking loading and unloading.
Exactly.
Everything, the travel, but loading and unloading. Right now, it's on Fairway, and when we had that, Fairview? Fairway, okay, that's right.
Fairway.
Fairway. Yeah, when we had that big snow, I mean, it was really hard with the big snow and the berms there, and so, I
And they have
guess.
to do it in 4 waves.
Sure,
So
yeah,
then
and
the
we've always
kids are
had to do it waves,
waiting,
but,
getting in fights.
correct.
And those are some of the issues that Highland administration.
And if we could have
brought
a
up.
loading and unloading.
Yeah, I have site people, and one of their main focuses is circulation on school sites. That's all they do. So they'll look real closely at circulation for the entire site.
So will they give, do we need, I guess my question is do you need to know about the tennis courts now? Because our next board meeting is in a month. And this is where we would decide if that space is available for you to use.
You know, the tennis, it'd be good to know, but I don't think it's critical at this point.
Okay. Okay, so something. we need to-
Obviously, the sooner the better, but it's not critical. I wouldn't put that on the critical list.
Okay.
What is the condition of the current tennis?
My understanding is they're not good.
No, not good at all.
They have to be
Correct.
torn out.
They
and
will.
redone with
We
the foundation.
have to do, and
And so that's why I thought if they
Correct.
have to be torn out anyway,
at
you
least,
know, and we could use that for that one-way going up Fairway and all the buses could just channel out of there, it just seems like a perfect opportunity.
there are some obstacles there, obviously that home run fence.
There,
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
There, so, and then
You're-
there's the
you're-
greenhouse.
You can
that
figure
will-
that out.
Sure, you can, and there will be, we'll mention, we are working with Idaho Power that will help us. We are going to move that transformer and get some upgraded power to make sure we have enough for the team room, for anything that this expansion will do. So
Okay.
we're looking at a place for that, because obviously that needs to stay permanent.
Okay,
But
so I
kind
was
of out of the
thinking
way
that
of this
Kent had
construction.
said that we could leave it on that same side, but maybe not.
And we could, but if, I think, our, Mike and Shay, they were excited if it would get out of the way. It just
Oh.
gives us more options, right? Because maybe we could, obviously, we're limited with that driveway, but it just gives us some options there that we need to also
Well,
plan
hold
for
on.
that space as well.
I think with
On
the,
that end, we have a little bit more space because the baseball diamond ends, and then we got the tennis courts, and we can go, direct the traffic.
yeah,
Up,
so you have the
so
box
we
car
have
there
that.
now, and if I understood Jonathan correctly,
Yeah.
maybe that's the space we're looking at pushing the transformer back. So they would have to design around that, but we will have the team room drawing power. And then if we look at a field house in that far corner by the Gateway building, then that too would be a power draw, so.
So it would have to be on the other side of the transformer
think
if
there's
it's
There's the
possible.
transformer now, right?
So-
Where are you
I
gonna
think
put
that
it?
would work best, in my opinion, but
Yeah.
they are
Just-
the
it-
experts.
It would just be very nice if during this design process, we could figure out a way to have more than one single lane exit for all the 1,015, we'll have about, I don't know how many we'll have, 1,600 parking spots? 1,800, 2,000? We have one lane. And so it would be very nice, and that includes, there is no busing lane. So it would just be very nice if that was a part of it. In my opinion, as a parent who has had 7 kids there and 6 wrecked cars.
Parking and flow
In the parking
definitely will be a priority there.
Yeah, we'll look very closely at that.
Yeah, all my 6 kids that went there have wrecked their cars in that parking lot.
Yeah, we've,
Nowhere else around town.
we've never worked with a district that hasn't asked us to analyze their circulation.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm so relieved that that's going to be part of it. That is all that I have. Do you guys have any other questions?
I think in the packet, we do have the continued.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Mr.
Go.
No, you've got it right there.
I was gonna get rid, just the schedule.
This one?
I believe is right, Dr. Howell, that's what you were mentioning.
This one?
Yes, yes, the schedule kind of what we would try, again, we'd meet next Wednesday. Again, a little bit of a purpose though, we'll flesh that out and then kind of review that. Is that
Yep,
kind
yep.
of still the same?
Yep.
Meeting every week, doing it as quick as we can, but yet wanting to keep, obviously, the committee informed, and then as the board as well.
And the board
those
can
dates.
meet any, throw in a special meeting in between whenever we need to.
And do we feel like the hour and a half was okay our last meeting?
No longer than that.
I don't want
Yeah.
to take people's
I
time.
think an hour and a half was good, and
Okay.
those that have to leave earlier, and I think if we have our goals, well, you did
Yeah.
it up front, but
Okay.
even if we have it a couple days in advance, we'll know
Okay.
kind of what we need to do.
So Kent, if I remember correctly, there was design phase 1 and 2, and I think each of those had 1 to 2 months. Are you thinking that we're closer to, 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, right now, we're in the programming phase, and if we can wrap that up by the second week in May, once we get a go-ahead, once we get approval from the board, this is the concept we like, these are the elements we like, then we'll start right into construction documents, which will probably take about 7 months at the most to get that done.
Yay.
And construction documents usually breaks out into like 2 months for schematic design, 2 months for design development, 2 months for construction documents.
Okay, can you tell me, you know, the board looked at a possible timeline, and even in fact tonight, I have a policy that we're talking about board work and volunteering for committees, and then the committee work, that sort of thing. How do you see the committee continuing to function in this process?
I think the most effective thing would be to have the committee stay with us through the sketches, because there's buy-in for the nuances of the sketches, that the different participants, the people with different focuses can help with. Like I said, we'll also include the site work on that, so people can talk about circulation with us and those kind of issues. Typically, we keep the committee together through that sketch phase. Once we have the conceptual design and it's approved, then we kind of go off as a team, and I bring in the structural engineer and the mechanical and everybody in. By the way, I met with my MEP engineers today, and they said they were going to contribute a new dropping flag to the gymnasium.
Did they really?
Yes, yes.
And is it for free?
Yes, yes.
Wow. We love deals.
I didn't even twist their arm. But yeah, and what might happen is at some point, even in the design development phase, it might be good to convene the committee again, just to get a little buy-off on some things. And there are participants in the committee who we will meet with through the construction documents. For example, people involved with band or people involved with the theater. We will meet with them individually to make sure we get just the right storage systems, just the right systems they want in their space.
When you're at that.
So in a way, they'll kind of stay involved as a committee through the conceptual phase and as individuals even beyond that.
Excellent, okay.
Very good. And I was kind of picturing that, you know, they put all this time in. I was picturing, you know, special VIP tours, you know, behind construction lines.
There's a way to speed up the process. I mean, that's the most common question we get. The construction process, no pressure, I mean,
But you were on TV saying that, you know, you're May, and then 7 months from May.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah,
it's recorded.
be assured, we'll go as fast as we can, but I don't know that it benefits Mike to get our documents any sooner than November or December. Yeah.
Yeah, because we can't start then anyway, right? Is that what we're saying? Because
Yes.
we can't start there
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I make a public comment?
Yep.
So, just from the public, first of all, I appreciate the committee and stuff, but one of the things, I'm a business owner, I have a daughter that goes to school there, I have kids that are going there. I appreciate the comment from the very beginning, the budget is the deciding factor. And I think it's dangerous when you get a lot of ideas and start throwing things out there because ideas are what add to the budget. For example, a tennis court, I'm sorry, but to move a tennis court because now is the time to do it, quite frankly, is BS. It's cheaper to fix a tennis court and now is the time to throw in an extra $1 million or $2.
No. Just to be clear.
Let me finish, please.
Yes.
That's my concern, is that when you start throwing ideas about this lot and that lot, and we don't even own it, and the thing on there is that I just encourage you to, as a committee and as a board, the budget is the reigning thing. Don't start throwing this idea, it'd be nice because now is the time to do it. We could do this because now is the time to do it. It's expensive, it adds up, you know, you're looking at re-engineering, everything like that, just to do ideas, you know, and so, just encourage the committee to keep that in mind, stay in the loop and stay focused on the budget and the reality of what needs to happen. What needs to happen is a new school for these kids, not a new tennis court, that can be repaired, fixed, or whatever. And windows, to look at a thing, I'd rather have a functional science room than windows looking at the golf course. And my daughter actually leaned over that goes to that school and says, I would rather have a functional science room.
So would I.
than windows looking at a golf course.
So would I. So tell me your name, just so we can have it for the record.
Matt McEwen.
Thank you. Just to be clear, the tennis courts is not in our budget.
I know that, that's why.
That isn't
when you
what
start
we
throwing
are
ideas
even
out,
talking
it
about, and we're not adding the tennis courts to our budget. What we're talking about is a tennis court that has to be torn out anyway. Because in order to fix the tennis court, right, in order to fix the tennis court where in the state of disrepair that it's in right now, from what Doug has said, we have to tear it out.
Do we have to tear it out, or is there a resurface possibility? I mean,
Oh,
I know
now,
we're
I
kinda
thought that
getting
you had
down-
told me that it was a foundation issue.
So yeah, we would have to evaluate that, and see, okay, is it just a little bit of how much of that foundation would be? If we have
Okay.
literally.
So
not
my
looked at it. So
understanding
it might
was
be
that it had to be torn out in order to redo it because the
That's
foundation was compromised. So it's not an addition, now the demolition would be, but it's not we're not adding a tennis court to it, we're not adding a soccer field. These are things where we could save a space for them for the future. In other words, just not pour concrete, not pour asphalt there. It's a future. It's thinking in the future for future projects, not adding to this project. And-
Understood.
And we all have the same priorities as far as learning spaces above a view or anything else. But I do believe we can have both. Kent, is that right?
There are times when you can have both.
Sweet.
And
And then
like I
other
said,
times- and then
like,
other times-
like I said, our goal is to get the district the best value for their dollar.
And that's, I think we're all on the same page.
And what that translates into is good education facility, good learning spaces, and sometimes daylighting. A lot of times daylighting is critical to good learning environments.
I appreciate
I
that.
think the
Thank
one
you.
thing I had heard from one of the principals, I believe it was Rigby, when he said, you can cry once and get what you need, or you can cut corners and cry every day. And I think that's somewhat of what we've experienced at Century, is because, and I'm not suggesting that we aren't paying attention to the budget, but I think that's got to play into what we choose to do, is that whatever we choose to do, we do it completely and not cut a corner, even if that means something else falls off or becomes a later project, but that gym is gonna be the right size. That auditorium stage is gonna be the right size. You know, whatever we have to make sure that whatever is chosen that we build, there's no cutting corners in those, whatever those top priorities. Does that?
Right, and I think, and it's not a discussion, just FYI, but I think we as a board, in our past discussions, I think we are all in agreement on that concept, that whatever we do, we want to do it right, and if we can't do everything, that's understandable.
Right. This is a balancing act between wants and budget.
Yes.
And the goal is to find a line between both
Mm-hmm.
that gives you the best facility possible
For the best amount of money,
for what you have available to spend. Yes.
yes.
Because what's happened at Century, where they cut the corners on the gym, we're now paying that price.
Well, and that's very possibly true. But it's also possible, I wasn't around, but it's possible that they didn't have budget to do more.
Yeah.
They chose, it was a
It
priority.
all boils down
was
to
priorities.
budget.
It does.
We try to be as creative as we possibly can with flexibility and the way we use spaces, the way we lay spaces out. But Mike's budget will actually dictate what happens.
No, you were saying you were the police officer. Just a minute. Now you're blaming Mike.
That's why I'm sitting in between them. So, anyway.
I think the whole committee is on board with that. And I love what you said about everybody being together so that when, we talk about the drama and music, we need a little bit more area on the stage, then everybody there understands, I'm going to need to maybe
Yes,
ask for
it's
something
no
else.
different than your vision statement. Think, learn, be more together. That's what the committee does. The committee's job is to try to come up with ideas, reach a consensus, give where they need to give, take where they have the option to take.
And we had a committee member say, it doesn't look to me like you're going to have the budget for this. Can I ask for some donations?
Right.
I mean, this is so great, for the committee to be able to be creative and stick within the budget
Yeah, if you can come up with donations, great. I definitely would not delay the project in any way in
No.
anticipation of that.
Nope, we will not do that.
But yeah, there were times in the committee where people were like, made concessions, and they were reasonable, and that gives me great hope for this committee. I think the district will like the end product.
So Kent, something you had mentioned, I think when Jonathan and I called to set you up, all of you, for this evening rather than attend the tour yesterday.
Yes.
Was in regard to those donations. It would be better if they just donate to the project. I mean, I know there are certain maybe areas that specific groups would want to donate and say, this is where my money goes.
Yeah, some
But
people.
is
some
that a
people-
possibility at this juncture?
Some people do like to do that, but what that does is potentially slows the project down. In my experience, it's a lot better to have people donate in general to the budget. And then your budget increases for everybody, and there's not ownership in the donation.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And I guess just the timing. Again, we don't want to slow it down, but so if we're.
No,
gonna
no.
make
No,
it meaningful-
I don't
we'll
think
move
anybody's
full speed ahead. Yeah.
Nobody's willing to slow it down.
Right.
Like, we would not even entertain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll move full speed ahead, and if sometime in the design development or even in the construction document, somebody comes up with $20, $30, $40, $100,000, then that's something you can use to maybe increase functionality or the quality of something that goes into the school itself.
The equipment, the furnishings.
Right,
what have you.
right, yeah.
And that is all covered with insurance money, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, thank you.
But an enhancement, if you
Right,
will.
yeah.
And so to go back to Ms. Clark's earlier comment about, or question in regard to subcommittees, really, the subcommittee could be a science department rather than just maybe a science representative. You would get in there. and
Right, as
if
we
we're
get
able
in,
to design, you know,
for example, the committee's not going to get into a lot of detail about the lockers in the band room storage area. But the people the teachers will sit down with us and explain what they want on a case-by-case basis. Yeah.
Thank you, that's
Again,
wonderful.
within budget.
Yes.
And one of you have to be the policeman.
It's all the checks and balances. It's kind of like our
I think Jonathan is the policeman.
OAC, yeah.
He is
I'll be the
constantly.
ultimate one. And the board, yeah.
Okay, so, any other questions? Any other comments? Okay, so, thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. Next on the agenda is the board calendar. Superintendent Howell.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. For tonight, of course, we've talked a little bit of personnel matters earlier in regular board meeting. Tomorrow, we have set aside some student discipline hearings, as well as we've asked for a special meeting. There were a couple of items. Ms. Johnson, after all that discussion, help me recall.
I don't think I can do a meeting tomorrow, just FYI, but because I have a family event. I'm so sorry I didn't,
Oh,
I wasn't able to
could we
tell
get you at
early.
least for the student hearings to get us?
I can do that.
Okay.
It's just that evening, I
Okay.
have an event with my family.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry
Nope,
about that.
that'll be fine. So just a couple of other items for you. And then we do have the Anderson Julian Hall Education Law Institute coming up next week. Remind me again who has signed up. I think
I did.
two of,
and Ray, and you're gonna let me know tomorrow if you can go.
Okay.
Yes, and is there a way for me to get the agenda for that?
I think it is posted, so
Okay,
we will get
okay.
it for you. Yeah,
Okay,
you bet.
I got that, okay.
Okay, and then also coming up next week would be key communicators. And if you're interested, please RSVP Renee. Then you see the HHS Rebuild Design Committee on the 24th. In addition to that, we don't have it on the calendar here, but we will also have a OAC, Owner Architect Contractor meeting for PV Tech. So for Mr. Knopf and Mr. Facer, we'll be following up that day on site with the contractor and architect.
1:30.
1:30, yep. We asked, the architect's been sending the invite for that calendar item, so hopefully he'll get next week and a little bit further ahead. As we get closer to July, I think we'll be meeting weekly rather than bi-weekly, and so we can keep progress on updates and staffing. We'll also be talking about interior finishes and so forth. I know last week Mr. Knopf was able to attend the meeting after the OAC meeting. I know, Jim, you had another commitment. And so we are talking about the finished spaces, what that will look like.
So when's the next OAC?
It'll be on the 24th of Wednesday. Yep. Okay.
And will you let us also see, what the finish?
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of just see some
Yeah.
options.
Yeah. In fact, it's probably time for the entire board to go out and take another look around, especially as we saw some steel being erected today,
Yeah.
which was very exciting. And they communicated to us it would take about 2 weeks, but then they even backed off of that and said maybe within a week and a half, they could have that structure finished, at least on the exterior.
And Jonathan said it's staying within budget so far. It's 400 and some thousand, but then another, I can't remember. Anyway.
Yeah, so we can
As far
review
as budget,
budget
we're
with,
staying within our budget and
yeah,
not going
yeah.
over. I think it's important that we also be conscious of the budget of that, as we're being conscious of the budget of Highland, like every bit as important.
Yes, I agree. So I see key communicators on here a second time. That certainly won't be the case. I'll get with Mrs. Fisher and see whether we're going to go. Typically, we do it the fourth Wednesday, so I'm not sure if there were 5 Wednesdays this month or something. So we'll clear that up for you, but definitely make you aware. Then the design committee for HHS also on the 30th. May 1st, there's just a little notice there about Pacific American Heritage Month. Student discipline hearings, a placeholder for you, Cinco de Mayo on the 5th. Of course, board visits, and I think Ms. Clark was talking about this one earlier with Arches. So we have Mr. Knopf and Ms. Clark scheduled to go there.
Do you think we could all go and see
Sure.
that? Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. Would you want to attend these other visits as well, or just all meet up at Arches on that one day? Do you want a second visit that week? That would be Miss. Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Do you both want to go? I haven't been to Arches. So,
don't think anybody has really,
Yeah. How about if we take you over there, and then we will also get Mr. Balls to give us the
the PD.
yeah, the sketches for the design for that space.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
be great.
Okay, let's do that.
Thank
Okay, Ms. Johnson? Okay, and then community prevention meeting, board work session, that takes us out of ways. And then you can see after Memorial Day, it's likely we won't have a key communicators meeting on the 28th of May. Typically, we don't have them in May. Student discipline hearings,
We'll
but
still have a hearing 2 days before graduation.
believe it or not, we actually,
Keep those kids in
as
line.
the end of the year winds down, sometimes behaviors wind up.
That would be the ideal time to be expelled.
So we-
2 days left.
Everybody
then
would vie for
You
that.
can see. Yeah, there you go. And then last day of school, graduation, last day of school, Thursday, that typically comes with the New Horizon graduation on that Thursday. We don't have it here listed for you yet. And then on Friday, the 31st, graduation day, I believe it is Century Pokey Highland? Correct. Okay.
At
No,
Holt
that
Arena?
Yeah.
Holt,
Yay!
I see you,
Oh, that's
see you.
right.
Dom.
That's
Okay.
right.
Okay, so
All
not
right.
the wellness center again.
Where will New Horizons
It
be?
was a beautiful day.
New Horizon, are we still? Wellness complex will remain for New Horizon.
6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
May 30th.
Okay. Yeah, that's it for the, board calendar. Next
Thank
up
you.
is.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So then Deanna can't make it tomorrow. Are we still going to have the 4 o'clock meeting or the meeting after the disciplinary meeting?
Yeah, with 3 we can, and we'll get Mrs. Judy the information.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So,
As long as we get started.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it
at
depends on how
3:30.
long it goes, so.
Okay,
Depends
yeah,
on how, I don't know how many discipline,
we have one.
Just one.
Mm-hmm. And then those 2 items, I remembered what the second one was. I don't think that will take more than, it's the vacancy?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't see that taking more than 15, 20 minutes. So in total, hopefully an hour. Okay.
And that's been amended, right?
Ms. Johnson, we talked about that. The administration will recommend the timeline. Yes.
So-
Great.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, next
Um,
up is policy 2208, if I may, 2203, sorry. And this was on last week, I mentioned it, earlier, that this is just the committees that the board volunteers for and how we do that process, as well as the advisory committees. And you can see the bulleted items regarding how the service, the time that they will be needed, and so forth. So this is for second reading tonight.
I would entertain a motion to hear on second reading for adoption, policy 2203, board committees. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board hear on second reading for adoption of policy 2203, board committees as presented.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passed. That concludes this meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
All those in favor?